Good morning, Salon people. I guess we should say salon and spa people, don't you think?
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for joining us this morning, and thank you to Vagaro Salon Software for hosting us on the monthly business webinar. And we are the profitable salon owner. What's our motto? We
get salon owners profitable
fast. Yes, because let's face it, if we're not making money, we're not having fun.
Well, we have a hobby.
That's right.
That's all we have. Anyway, just a little bit of housekeeping. can somebody please type in and let us know if you can hear us clearly?
Yes. We always like to make sure we're being heard. Because what's the point if
we don't want to be talking at ourselves?
No, we do that enough. Oh,
excellent.
Thank you, Donna.
Thank you so much, Donna.
So if you go to the next slide, you can see this fabulous picture of the back of our heads doing exactly what we're doing right now, which is putting on a webinar for Vagaro, one of our favorite things that we do during the month. Yeah. And Catherine and I are known as the two blondes for some strange reason.
Because we're blonde.
Because we're blonde. We've had a couple people say in the street, oh, look, it's the two blondes. Amongst all the other blondes in the world. There we are. We love that. Anyways, today's topic is such an interesting topic because as Kath and I have been out and about in this industry over, we won't say how many years of combined experience.
Yeah, let's not do that.
But probably one of the biggest problems that we run into is pricing in the salons, you know, how to do it right. And so we thought it'd make an absolutely fantastic topic for today's discussion.
Absolutely, because, you know, we all know, as we say there, is it a hit or is it a miss? And for a lot of us, trust me, it's a miss.
Right.
Your pricing is going to make or break what's going on with you.
Exactly. And most of us, you know, I love this because how do you determine your prices? Do you let your fingers do the walking? So often what has happened in our industry is you phone up the local salons around you and you say, gee, how much for a haircut?
Yeah.
Or color or whatever it is. And
I am going to say many years ago when I first started my business, I was guilty of that myself because we don't want to, you know, outprice ourselves compared to our competition or who we see as our competition. But, you know, really in thinking about what it is, the person down the street may have completely different expenses than you do. You know, they may not have the same kind of rent. They could be in just even going around the corner, could be in a completely different category. You know, in location categories, you have the A locations to the D- locations.
Right. And all of that is going to affect your pricing. Then you move into your target market. You know, some people are going to cater to a different market than you do. So it isn't appropriate to have the same kind of expenses. Like, for example, if you go into a salon that has the, you know, the walk-in traffic, like here in Canada, it's like First Choice or whatever. You know, it's a completely different kind of pricing system.
Yeah.
So it really depends on who you are as a business. So we cannot let our fingers do the walking. We have to really look within our own business to see what our prices are going to be.
Yeah, but so many of us have no idea how we even start doing that. You know, that's why that little bullseye is like taking a dart and going, okay, how do I price this? Like throw it. So we're going to walk you through today's going to be a little bit about math. I will tell you, it's not going to be one of our more upbeat fun. We'll make it fun.
It's fun. I love pricing.
We'll make it fun, but it is more math. So just know that we're going to walk you through how you should determine your pricing.
And yes, and we're going to make it so that it's really easy to understand. And we're also going to make this available for you, this whole little thing available for you afterwards. So,
we have the PDF of everything, and the way we've put it down, it's really a step-by-step. So you'll be able to get the PDF at the end of this presentation. You just send us your email address and we will be happy to send you the PDF.
Right, because Let the games begin.
Let the games begin. So this is always an interesting question. What is it that we have to sell? And
Time is on my side. Yes, it is.
Not really any
Okay.
longer. we're getting short
Yeah.
of time, I mean. But totally, I ask this question, as we go out and do consulting, we ask this question, and it's interesting because everybody says, what do we have to sell? Well, we have haircuts and we have retail and we have
service. Yeah.
And we do, we have all those things, but really, what is the component behind it?
It's time.
It's time. And I see people give away their time all day, every day.
All the time.
Yeah.
And I want you to really think about this too, because we are in the same category as all sorts of other professions that also sell time. So for example, your dentist is selling time, your doctor is selling time, your accountant is selling time, your chiropractor is selling time. All of these professions are selling time, and that's what we are doing. We are selling the time. We're selling the time of a service provider to provide a service. So that's the only thing we got. And it's as it says, time is our most precious resource, because that's one thing that we can never get back. Once it's gone,
you don't get it back. And service providers, by the nature of who we are, give it away all the time, gratis, for nothing.
Yes.
I see them do it. Oh, I couldn't possibly charge. It only took me 5 minutes, but you maybe blocked out 30 minutes of time or 15 minutes of time. Time you never can get back.
And it's your time, your professional time is really what you are selling when you are a service provider. And you have to really think, okay, so the whole thing behind this is that your time has value. And how do you price your time?
And really by the end of this presentation, what I would like you all to do is go back and do your own math, but then you should all know what an hour of time is, what you need to get for an hour of your time. And you can do it for individual stylists and service providers. You can individually do it. And I'll tell you at the very end of a quick rule of thumb that I use, which really works out pretty much every single time that I do it.
Right. So when we're talking today, I want you to think from a point of view of the individual and from the point of view of the salon as a whole, because this works either for small or big.
Yes. Yeah. So, and I mean, everybody's numbers are different, right?
Yeah,
and you're gonna see that. But as we go through, it's a step by step process of kind of just working you through what you need to look at. So that's what we're going to go through. We're going to go through the steps to intelligent pricing.
It's like the stairway to heaven, Catherine, don't you think?
Well, it could be the stairway to your the stairway to your financial freedom.
Absolutely. Climb every mountain, climb every ladder. Okay, I won't sing anymore.
Yeah, please. We want them to stay.
Yeah, please stay
on the webinar. So step 1. So we're going to look at your numbers and you're going to calculate your hours available for sale, excluding
lunch or breaks, etc.
Yeah. So or any block time off for whatever reason.
So for example, if you're a single operator, what you're going to do is decide how many hours a week are you available for work. So for example, say you're available for 40 hours a week, right?
Yes.
That is for your single operator. Now, if you're a salon, what you want to do is take a look at how many hours your salon is open per week and multiply that by the number of stations that you have or treatment rooms that you have. So for example, if you've got 6 service providers and you're open, say 58 hours a week, you're going to multiply 58 times 6 to find out how many available hours you have per week
for sale.
Okay. So and then that's the first step.
Yeah. So then we're gonna try and keep it as simple as we possibly can. So calculate your hours available for sale, take out lunch breaks, whatever you have in there, and then that's totally what you have that you can generate revenue in. So then you multiply by 4.3 to calculate your total revenue producing hours in a month.
In a month. And it's 4.3 because that's how many weeks are in a month. It's not 4 weeks in a month. It's actually 4.3 weeks in a month.
Yes.
Okay.
And for this example, we are going to say that that number comes to 760 hours, and we will use this number as we go through.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. So hopefully now you all get how to come up with your total hours. Okay.
Revenue producing hours.
Revenue, available hours. Okay.
And let me just also say, if you are a single operator and you say, well, that's really hard for me to determine because, you know, I work when people call me. Please, you need to take a step back and look at this as an actual business. You need to make your hours.
Right.
So you have to know what you're willing to work.
For sure.
And then that's what you use to calculate this.
And if you're working, say, 4 hours a day, 7 days a week, okay, so your hours available per week are 28 hours. In the end, it's not so much important as when you're doing it, is that you understand how many hours you've got booked for work.
Yeah, because I have run into this. That's why I brought that up, is, you know, people that work from home are chair renting, they tend to think, oh, well, you know, I'm really flexible. No, give yourself set hours. If you go above and beyond that, great. But for this exercise, you must have some set hours that you're willing to.
Got it. And don't forget, life is about balance as well. Yeah. And if you're not allowing yourself to have a life as well, it makes it even harder.
And if that's the case, maybe it's because you're not charging enough.
Aha! There you go.
Ta-da.
So pricing all comes back to the cycle, doesn't it, Kath? Step two. All right, this is one's going to take you a little bit of work, perhaps. All right, so we want you to calculate the number of hours sold per week, and what we mean by that is how many hours were actually booked during the week.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you add it up, so for example, say you had 2 clients on Monday and 4 on Tuesday or whatever, you're going to add them up and how much time each service took you and add up those numbers, because that is actually the number of hours that you sold in a week.
Yeah. So, and then we're going to do the same thing with this. We're going to multiply this number by 4.3 to give us our monthly total again. So in this example, we're going to use 575. So 760 was the available hours. 575 hours were the actual number of hours that we were booked.
And used.
Yes.
Right? Okay. So everybody clear so far? Step 2 is really good. Pretty clear and easy. Step 3.
Step 3. Oh, Eileen, you love productivity rate.
I do, because I really think that it's really indicative of how we're doing as a business, but also as an individual performer.
Absolutely.
Right? So what we want to do is calculate our productivity rate. And that means you take your step 2 figure and you divide it by the step 1 figure. So, for example, the 575 is divided by 760, and that means you have a 75% productivity. And like this, the second point here says, this is the Salon scorecard, and it lets you know how well you're utilizing your resources. So if you've got this, say 100 hours available and you're only using up 75 hours, you can see that you still have 25 hours that you can sell.
That can be utilized.
Exactly. And that's why, you know, Catherine is also saying, make sure that you have specific hours that you're going to dedicate, because you don't want your productivity ranging over your entire life. You really want to nail it down to your work hours.
Well, you want to have a life outside of work. So you definitely want to do that. And 75% productivity is good.
Sure.
When you get up to the 87 to 90% range in productivity in your business, you need to start raising your prices.
Exactly. So you see how it all goes back. It's all starts to come together. You start to say, oh, okay. When I'm that busy, that means that I am in demand and I need to raise my prices.
So all of this ties in. So, productivity rate is definitely tied in with pricing. And it's instead of just, blanket thinking, oh, well, I think I need to raise my prices. Your productivity ratio is your scorecard because it lets you know if what you're doing is effective, then your pricing is right. If your productivity rate is 50%, then you need to look and see what it is that you're not doing correctly within your business.
Exactly. And that's why I love the productivity ratio, because it really tells you whether you're performing to where you should be or not. And you guys, this holds true for every single person out there who has a job, is that we have to look at how productive are we. And, as Kath and I have learned over the years, is that it's the 80-20 rule. 20% of our productivity, or 80% of our productivity, the other way around, 80% of our productivity comes from 20% of the producers. Mm-hmm. So, really take a look at these numbers and sit down and analyze, gosh, I'm only at 50% or 60% or whatever you're at, and think, how can I be more productive? Because being more productive will do two things for you. First of all, it will make you a happier, more content person to be more productive. And as a side effort, you'll make more money.
Absolutely. Yeah. This all goes hand in hand, and it all starts by understanding these steps. So I hope we haven't lost you so far. I hope you're getting it.
Okay. Next, step 4. Ta-da!
Oh, it doesn't want to go. Hold on. Let's try that again. Okay. There we go.
Okay. So now we have to take a look at the costs involved in running your business, right?
Now, last time we talked about a profit and loss statement.
Right.
And what that looks like. So you're going to find your cost of sales on your profit and loss statement.
Okay. So let's take a look at what your cost of sales are. Okay, so the cost of sales involved are your payroll taxes, the professional use products, all of those things that goes into offering your service. So, for example, your back bar products, your
professional use, yeah. So not your front of house retail, your professional use products,
right?
So that's what we're saying, back bar. So, and in this example, that those costs come up to $9,000. So I know that by looking at my P&L that I'm spending $9,000 a month on my payroll taxes, and my any professional use products that we're doing. So that's where you have to go to find that. So hopefully all of you understand or have a P&L and can find that number without too much effort. But let me tell you, this will be a little bit of an effort for you, but it will be worth it.
It will, because you do it once, you can do it forever.
So
the learning curve is huge.
That's step 4. Now, we're not going to leave you at the end of this. You can get this PDF and you can step by step work through it at your own pace.
You got it. And if you still get stuck, send us an email.
But the big thing is you have to do it.
Exactly. So that $9,000.
So on we go to step 5.
We want to find the cost of goods sold on the retail section, because this is still part of your revenues, correct? Exactly. So for example, the $1,200. Yeah.
So that's what we sold in retail. And that is our cost. That's not your retail cost. That's not the retail cost.
That is your wholesale cost. So it means that hopefully you sold $2,400 worth of product, because your markup should be 100%.
Yes. Hopefully everybody says.
Yes. And maybe we should do a whole webinar on that one.
Yeah, that's another good one. Step 6.
Yes, step 6. Okay, so now you want to calculate your cost of service sales. So service sales and revenue sales you add them together and you have your total revenue. So at the end of the month, you have so much money, and they are a combination of these two sales. But we want to separate them. So you're going to subtract your retail from the service sales or from your gross sales, and you'll be left with your service sales.
So 9,000, which was our cost of like our payroll taxes, back bar, everything. And we're going to take the $1,200 away from that, which was our front of house retail cost to us. And that's $7,800 cost of service sales.
Exactly. You with us? Good. Okay.
I know it's a little dry, but trust me, if you only can get an understanding of this, it will change the way you do business.
You got it.
Step 7. So now we're going to divide the cost of service sales by the number of revenue producing hours sold. Now you see how this all starts to fit into each other.
You got it.
So that $7,800 is going to be divided by 575 hours.
Got it.
Which is the hours that we actually sold.
Yeah.
And that leaves us with $13.56. So that's $13.56.
So far?
So good.
So good. Okay, pretty easy so far. Okay, now calculate your administrative costs, your management and your front desk and their payroll taxes and all of the other overhead expenses. So that includes?
So all your other overheads would be
Rent,
utilities,
bank fees, POS systems, you name it. All the other expenses on your profit and loss statement that weren't included in the cost of goods.
Yes.
Okay, all of them. So in this example, it's $5,900.
Everybody with us on that? Any questions about that particular part? You may or you may not. Trinda said you missed the last slide. Trinda, I'll go back quickly. So it was divide cost of service sales by the number of revenue producing hours sold. So the example was $7,800 divided by 575 hours, which was the number of hours sold, which gave you $13.56.
And Donna, this works for home salon, downtown salon, trailer salon, you name it, any salon that you've got, this is applicable to.
Yeah, because it doesn't matter if you're working from home.
You still have costs.
It's a business and you need to treat it like a business. So there, you factor in your space and you can, and here we can write off part of the mortgage.
Right.
And all the utilities and everything. You can take a percentage of that towards the business.
Right. So you take a look at, say, your water bill or your electricity bill, all of those things, a percentage of that will go into the cost of your home-based business.
So Scott, if you just stick with us, I think you'll see where we're going with the $13.56. It's just adding everything up to get the actual cost that your hourly costs. So step 8. So we went through the calculated min, all non-service payrolls, management, front desk, their payroll taxes, and all other overhead expenses. So hopefully you're still with us. So in this example, this salon is spending $5,900 on that. Step 9
is you've got to calculate your administrative and general costs for 1 hour of service, because all of those background costs go towards helping you build your business, right? So again, in this example, we're taking that $5,900 from all the other costs and expenses, and again, dividing it by the number of hours that we used, which was 575. And now we've got $10.26.
So those two numbers together.
And remember, we're talking about 75% productivity here too.
Yeah. So calculate your total cost of sales and your admin in general for one service hour. I abbreviated it and I had to think, whoa, what was that? Admin in general for one service hour.
So you put together your service cost of $13.56 and your admin cost for $10.26, and that gives you an overall cost per hour of $23.82. So this is the number that you must produce hourly to cover all of your costs. And we do have to think about it, same as marking out retail, because this is just the beginning. Now you know how much it costs to open up your doors.
Yes. And really, this is just about covering your costs.
Exactly. This isn't actually about really making money. This is about covering your costs.
Yeah, this is break even we're talking about.
You got it.
So how many of you out there know exactly how much, what your break even is, how much it costs you to turn the key in the door every morning? Are there any of you out there that know that number?
Because if you take that $23.82 and now multiply it by the amount of hours that you had available, you will find out how much you need to bring in every single month to break even.
And then we go on from there. So this is just a break even number that we're getting to. Okay. So the next step, my computer doesn't want to move today.
It's slow, as long as it's not ransomware.
Scott said he knows the cost, but not hourly. Yes. So, I mean, Scott, this is just taking what you know and breaking it right down to a smaller number and then working from there, because you really need to know basically hourly what you need to be bringing in to just cover those costs.
Exactly. And if you're a salon owner and you have stylists or service providers working for you, this step also works on an individual station productivity as well. Because when we're talking about pricing as well and pricing services, we work on a tiered system.
Yes.
And we often see that, say, a junior stylist is not going to be charging as much as a senior stylist. So all of this comes back to being able to price correctly, because the costs involved, you need to see that no matter what, sort of at this point, you're going to need to bring in $23.82 to cover off your costs, no matter what service provider you've got, because these are just the basic costs.
Yeah, and this is a we're talking small numbers here.
Yeah, exactly.
You know? It's an example of how you do it for yourself. And then we're not done yet. We've got to go on to the next step, which is the most important step, I think. So that covers our cost, but what about profit?
For sure.
Because guess what, guys? We are not a not-for-profit business, and we see so many owners, stylists that work for no profit. Do you know that only
5% people, 5%
are truly profitable? That is so heartbreaking to me.
It is, and we're not seeing the changes in our industry that we should. We're not seeing the rewards that we should be making for the average service provider in the beauty industry. The average wage in North America, that Canada and the United States, is around $25,000 per year. And you guys, that's barely a working wage these days.
Well, that's really not a living wage.
No, that's a job, J-O-B, just over broke.
Yeah, we want you to have a career, not a hobby.
You got it. We want you to earn money, be proud of your profession, and really be charging what you're worth. Okay. This is a creative, artistic force.
Yeah. So now we're going to talk about profit, because Aileen and I are pretty passionate about all of you making profit on what you're doing. So let's factor in a 20% profit margin. Oh my God, if you did that, that would be stellar.
That would be amazing, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would be. That's what we all should do. And that's what we all should strive for.
20% minimum
profit margin.
You got it. So what does that look like, Catherine?
So you're going to take the $23.82 that you need just to barely cover your costs. And you're going to divide that by 0.80, because that's going to give you 20%. So that comes to $29.77 is what you would need. So $23.82, $29.77, there's the gap.
You got it.
That's the margin. And that's the difference. That's what's going to give you no profit and profit.
Yeah.
And I really, truly believe that we need to be so strong in letting ourselves believe that we're worth it.
Yes. Mirror time, people. Mirror time. You've got to look in the mirror and say, I am worth the amount that I charge. I am worth the time. People are coming to you and buying your time, and you're worth it.
Absolutely. So you now have 760 hours that you should be getting $30 an hour, $29.77. I rounded it up to 30. $30 an hour is what you need to cover your costs and give you some profit.
You got it. It's not a lot,
and that's
a start.
And that's the total hours. And that's if you're completely booked.
Right. So imagine, if you're not completely booked.
If you're at 75% productivity rate, you are still not covering your costs.
You got it. And that's the scary part, right? So all of these things, you start thinking, okay, so now we have to take these costs and turn them into pricing.
Yes.
Right? So what does that mean? So for example, I want you to really think about, how long does it take you to do a haircut? How long does it take you to do multicolor?
So, if you need $30 an hour, then you need to look at how long services are taking you. You need to then break it down. If in your salon, you know that you need $60 an hour to cover your cost, then that's where your pricing begins. Begins.
Right. So that's we're talking about juniors.
That's the bare minimum. Then you go from there. So you cannot price anything less than that.
Exactly.
And then the other part of that is if you're pricing a service or somebody comes to you and says, well, it's only going to take me 15 minutes. You now know what your 15-minute charge is worth.
Right. You now know what your minute is worth, right? Your minute's worth 50 cents.
Yeah.
In this example.
In this example, it will be different for you. I know, because I know based on numbers that I've done for my own salon, our minute is worth $1 to $1.75, depending on the level of my stylist.
Exactly. So this is what we really have to look at. And so when you start, calling around salons and finding out what their pricing is, it doesn't have any reflection of what you're doing in your own space. So this is why this is so important that you price things properly.
So you need to go back and to even begin to have, the conversation about pricing, you need to do this exercise. And then it will give you like an eye opener, and you can go, okay, so I'm okay with my pricing. This is where I'm at. If your pricing is higher and your productivity rate is higher, great. We just don't want you to be under that cap, because you will struggle to make ends meet.
Exactly. And now let's talk a little bit too about niche marketing as well, because that is also going to be reflected in your cost. Now, you know that you need to bring in about $30 an hour, right? Those are the basics. But what about if you're a really high-end salon and your target market is completely different from the chop shop down the street?
Yeah, well, your costs are going to be higher for sure, because your location is going to be different. The products that you're using are going to be higher end. There's going to be so many. That's why you have to go through the costs. And as Scott said, it drives it home to stack dollar bills
so that you can
actually see them. Actually, Aileen and I found a roll of toilet paper that is
remember that?
It's printed with dollar bills, and in some of our seminars that we do, I just say, this is what you're doing. If you're not doing it properly, every day, all day, you are flushing dollar bills down the toilet.
Exactly. Stop the insanity.
Yeah, please stop the insanity. it's hard to discuss anything else if you're not pricing correctly, because here's what not pricing correctly will do. You will, every single day you walk in the door, you will be looking at your numbers and thinking, why can't I get ahead?
Yes.
Where am I going wrong? We have to be number crunchers.
All the time. And as hard as numbers are for us, we've got to work on it. We've got to open up our minds to the concept and understand some of these very, very basic steps, because pricing has got to be probably one of the biggest issues in our business, and pricing correctly is absolutely tantamount to running a successful business.
And if your commission levels, if you're paying commission and those are too high, or you're paying hourly and that's too high, it's going to show up in doing these exercises, because then you will see how much you're spending on payroll.
Exactly. Okay, so how are you going to go about making changes? So for example, after you've done this exercise and you realize that your pricing is out of whack, that you're not charging enough or whatever, how do you go about making changes?
I don't know, Eileen, how are you going to go about making changes?
You know, I think it's a really viable question, right? Because we have to move forward. And here's one of the things that we find in pricing when we go around from salon to salon. I don't see it quite as much as we used to, but remember all the days when we walked into the salon and would see that sign? Unfortunately, due to rising costs, our services have been increased to yada yada. Drove me crazy. Why? Because usually that sign stayed up for about 6 weeks, and then they took it down, and then somebody who didn't see the sign would sit in the chair and say, oh, did your prices go up? And you would say, well, yes, I guess they did since the last time you were in. So if you do that for one person, why wouldn't you just do it for everybody? And if you price correctly, you also know that price changes should be happening on a regular basis.
Yeah. And the one thing that I always say is, when you go to the gas pump, do they warn you in advance that their price has gone up?
No, because they change it hourly.
I know, I only wish we could do that. But you know, people, we have to get over our fear of pricing, because our costs go up every single year. I mean, some things go up twice. Sometimes your products go up twice in a year.
Yes, they do.
And you know, like your utility bills and all of this, we don't factor that in, because we price on emotion.
Is that ever the truth? And I've got to say, over the last 20 years, I have specifically seen, for example, the cost of color double to almost triple, per box, right? But we have not seen our services double or triple over the last 20 years.
Absolutely.
And we're not staying on top of it. By the way, I just wanted to mention to Pinkham that, yes, we'll share with you afterwards the PDF, okay?
Yeah, and this will be up on Vagaro's website, so you can listen to it again. If you have questions after that, please email us, and we'd be happy to answer them for you. Because I do believe that this is one of those things that you're going to have to go away, you're going to have to do it for yourself, and you may have some questions.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So the two huge things that we really want you to get out of this today is not only to make sure that you price yourself correctly today, but that you are aware of how you are going to increase your prices as you move forward. Now, I do not necessarily believe in changing everything across the board. I really believe that price changes and price increases should be incremental and in stages throughout the year. So for example, 1 month you might say raise your cutting costs.
Yeah, and that's one thing that we do in my own business in Winnipeg is we do that incrementally. Our pedicures may go up in January, or no, usually the pedicure, in January, because that's when we're busiest with our pedicures. So our pedicures may go up in January for that year. Our cutting may not go up till April or May, so we're not hitting everybody all at once, but our pricing over the course of the year is going up, because trust me, my costs are going up.
Exactly.
My rent just went up.
I was just going to say, your rent just went up, and we're
Yeah.
talking thousands and thousands of dollars. So, you have to stay on top of it. The other thing when it comes to pricing is I often find that service providers have to justify themselves to their clients about their pricing.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it's something else that, does drive me a little crazy, I guess, because I am such a huge believer in what we do and what you present to your clients, the care and attention that you give them. And I don't believe that we, have to justify what we're doing. When someone says, oh, that seems a little higher than what I paid last time. And I hear Stella say, well, yes, my costs went up and so, like I had to do this or I had to do that. And I think, whoa, I think the best way to handle a price change is just to simply say, yes, our prices have adjusted slightly upwards. And that's it.
Yeah, that's
it.
That's all you say.
You have to say.
Don't apologize.
Never.
And I mean, it's interesting, and I'll be interested, in some feedback from you when you actually go through this exercise and do it. For some of you, your pricing may be really low.
Yes.
And how do you move that pricing up? Incrementally.
Exactly.
So you're not going to do it all at once, but you are going to be aware, and you are going to slowly but surely move those prices up.
For sure. Like, say you're really $10 to $20 under what you should be. You don't necessarily want to do that all at once, but set yourself a goal. So say, for example, by the end of this year, you're going to be where you need to be. So what does that look like? You're going to
even if you're halfway to where you need to be.
Exactly, right? But you're going to start, slowly but surely bringing it up.
And I just want to say this because I hear it all the time is, I hear people say, I couldn't possibly raise my prices. I'll lose my clients.
Oh, this is the next one, is the fear factor.
So, and that may be so. You may lose 10. We know that when you put your prices up, 10% of your clients may go. And that's okay, because guess what? It's going to free you up to take clients in who don't know the old prices, only the new ones.
Exactly.
And so, and all those so the 90% that stay with you that are paying a little bit extra are going to make up for the 10% that you might lose. But we sometimes allow one or two clients to hold us hostage.
And I'm sure you all know what we're talking about.
We're so afraid of the backlash from those clients if we put our prices up 50 cents. And they are usually the clients that can afford it the most.
Yeah, isn't that funny? And I love what Lisa says. Tell your client they're worth it. You got it. Because I think one of the things that we undermine in our industry is the amount of extracurricular education that we do. I see that our industry puts in more extracurricular education into their careers than I think almost any other profession. The hours of training that you guys do, the hours of expertise that you collect and in salon or out of salon, all of those things go to making you a more experienced and more professional service provider. And that means that you're worth more money. Like think about the other industries, like say the difference between, say, a bookkeeper and a chartered accountant.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, they all have to keep up to date with their professions, but we do put a lot of extra time in.
We put a heck of a lot of extra time into it. And that means that your experience brings more benefit to your clients. I can't tell you, over the years, of I won't say how many years, but, the number of times that I've walked out of a salon disappointed in the results. Right?
Yeah.
Simply because of a lack of experience or whatever it is.
So I really hope that this will help you to get a clearer understanding of what it is that you need to intelligently price your services. It is going to take a little work on your part. Lots of people are asking us about the PDF. You will need to email us and ask for the PDF, and then I will send it out to anybody that emails me to request a copy of the PDF. And then it walks you through step by step by step by step. And then because you're going to have questions, and then if you have questions, please
send us a note,
send us an email, and we will
do our best to answer it.
I will bring everything up at the end of this. We're not quite finished yet. One thing that I do with my own business is because oftentimes, you're going to bring somebody in to work, and I often look at it and say, okay, so this person, if I'm going to pay this person $10 an hour,
mm-hmm.
I need to see them produce $30 an hour for me. It's a quick rule of thumb,
yes,
that I do on the fly.
Because it just kind of gives you a guesstimate of where you're going. And I think you'll find after you've gone through all these equations and done it, you'll say, wow, that's pretty spot on. So it just sort of gives you, as you say, Kat, on the fly, that general rule.
Well, and in that example, I'm trying to build in, so like it might give me, because I look and go, okay, so $10 an hour to the staff member, $10 an hour for all the other kind of expenses, and then half, so
and then $10
and then
$10 other expenses
and profit.
And profit.
So I'm building profit into that picture. So it's just a quick rule of thumb, and you know what, it works
for sure. So think about how much you would like to make per hour and multiply it by 3, and that will give you a pretty good estimate as well. The other thing too is that your hourly cost should be fairly consistent. Oh, sorry, Jason.
This is a good one. I'm looking at a price increase of around $20 an hour. How should I go about raising them incrementally? I feel I've waited too long already. Yes, you probably have. But I'm so scared of losing my current clients with a 20% increase. So then I would start, if you are around $20 an hour, I would start with a $5 increase, and I would slowly but surely, and you can't do it on a monthly basis, but I would definitely do it. I would look at it again in 6 months to see where I am, and then 6 months after that, and then 6 months after that, to get me to where I need to be. You will lose some of those clients along the way, but then you need to market to bring new clients. So the clients that stay with you, you're going to use them to get you new clients.
You got it. And that takes us to a whole other thing is, like in the whole marketing concept of pricing, because really pricing is perceived value. What you charge for yourself, it's amazing how much business you can lose by underpricing yourself, because people will think, oh, they can't be very good. It's like this psychological thriller almost, but really think about it. Price is perceived value. And sometimes being able to charge more will bring you in bigger, better, wider customers. So, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid.
So, and Jason, let me ask you just quickly, do you have any idea what your productivity is? Like, are you 75% booked, 80% booked? Like, where are you? If you're 75 to 80% booked, then you know what, you're doing some really good things, and price isn't keeping them. Trust me.
Exactly.
Just because you're not charging enough, that's not keeping them. So just guessing, he's probably around 90%. Buddy, you need to raise your prices. You're working damn hard.
Yep.
So don't be afraid. $5. You need to put
right off the bat.
$5 right off the bat. Trust me, I've done this with so many people, and it's surprising. They go, oh my God, I lost a couple of clients, or 10% of my client base went, but I'm actually making more money.
Exactly. So, and if you think about it, $5 an hour really isn't all that much. And your clients aren't really, most of them might not even notice.
Yeah. I mean, this is such a big topic, and it's one of the topics that, we could go on and on and on about, because we're just, as an industry, we are not good at it.
Right.
And emotion gets in because we touch our clients and they become our friends.
Yeah.
And that, you don't like to charge your friends. And we're all guilty of it. We need to take it back. We work hard for our money. It's a tough profession, because it's physical and emotional.
And those are the other things that you have to start looking at building in is, you know, how you're going to take care of yourself in, you know, when you do leave this business. I just wanted to notice on Tony Fountain mentioned any recommended times of the year to increase prices. But like we mentioned earlier, Tony, you should be looking at incremental price increases throughout the year. There's no one time of year that's better to raise your prices than the other. You really need to look at your own productivity and what it's earning you. But you know, like we said earlier, you can adjust your prices throughout the year. You know, one month you might raise your cutting, a couple months later you might increase your color. Yeah. So you're always looking.
And about a year and a half ago, we met with a business owner who has a lash extension business.
Yeah.
And, you know, throughout the consultation process, the first thing I said to her is, you need to raise your prices tomorrow by $5 for a fill for extensions. They have only gone up in service.
Yeah.
They have not gone backwards. What about a possible price decrease if the math says so?
Never, Scott.
Yeah. You know what, Scott? I would not go backwards if things are working for you. Now, in saying that, if your productivity ratio is 50%, then I would have to assess what it is that I'm doing. But I would very rarely say that I'm overpriced, because if people are paying you, then obviously you're doing a lot of things that are right.
Yeah. And even at that, you know, if the math says that you're making good money, you still need to be looking at incremental price increases throughout the year. Because what happens is that if you don't stay on top of it, all of a sudden your costs do creep up, and the next thing you know is that you're running level.
Yeah.
So I would take a look at your productivity and see what percentage you're sitting at.
Yeah. So I know, you know, just based on our rent just went up $1,500 a month. Now I have a big space and I have a big rent, but $1,500 a month. So we just did a price increase, and guess what? The price increase was to absorb
the new cost of rent.
Cost of rent.
Yeah. And here's actually an interesting question from Vershanti. I hope I'm saying that right. She's a makeup artist, and I'm gathering you're doing on location work. So your costs are also going to be including your travel costs and your travel expenses. So take a look at your mileage. Either assign yourself a per mileage fee or a gas fee or something, some kind of use. So your costs are different, but the math is the same. Yeah. You get that?
And you should charge by the hour from the time you leave.
Yes, until you get home.
Yeah, because your travel time
is valuable.
It's valuable. Right. So hope that helps. But so many of us shortchange ourselves with things like that.
Do we ever? We think, I'm just going to be there an hour. No, it took you an hour to get there. Or if you're in California, an hour and a half, from what my daughter says.
Or maybe longer if you're on the freeway. But anyway, I hope you found this helpful. Eileen and I are so passionate about this subject because we see people all day, every day that are not pricing themselves properly, and they are not making money.
You're underselling yourself, right? And we believe in you. We want you to believe in you.
Absolutely. So a lot of people have asked us about the PDF.
And here we are.
So our website is www.theprofitablesalonowner.com. And our email address is info@theprofitablesalonowner.com. If you would like a copy of the PDF, send us an email to info@theprofitablesalonowner.com, and I will be happy to send out the PDF for this.
And you guys, we put out a newsletter every Monday morning that's absolutely free of charge. And if you go to www.theprofitablesalonowner.com, you will see a little sign up on the right-hand side. So sign up, and next Monday we will come to you live and in color.
Yeah. And the other part of this is, because you are all Vagaris, you have access to most of this information right within your software. So you utilize your software.
Exactly. I always think it's interesting because Vagaris have actually access to so much information that you often don't utilize, people. So, and if you're not sure how to use it, guess what? There's also webinars on how to use your software better. So take advantage of it. And again, Kath and I are always so grateful to be part of the Vagaro Business Resource Program because honestly, one of the best things that we do every month is come to you live and in color almost. Well, at least our slides are in color.
Slides are in color, Eileen.
Yeah.
And we're a couple of colorful
we're
characters.
very colorful, yeah. So thanks so much, all of you, for being with us today. And we look forward to seeing you on the second Monday in June. Haven't decided on our topic yet, but we'll make it interesting. Thanks again, everybody.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.